Well, a blessed good morning and welcome to our devotions for Friday. The week has been a beautiful week and we give God thanks for all that has occurred during the course of this week. We thank God for His continued blessings upon us and we look forward to the weekend, and we trust that the weekend will bring us an opportunity to step back, to relax and to reflect. I want to thank all of you who would have shared some thoughts during this week. And these were very much appreciated, and I look forward to others doing the same. It's good when we are able to share where we are and what we are thinking, because it gives me also something to reflect on and to see it from a different perspective. So thank you very much for your help. It has been a joy to have shared this time with you. Just a reminder of the Path to Purpose retreat coming up. Right now, I know it's a fair ways off, but right now we are trying to get all the various aspects of it aligned so that we can know who will be there and we can do some preparatory work. There's a text that we've been asked to read before the actual presentations, so we want to be able to get working on that at sometime early September. So right now we are offering that early bird discount and it closes by June 30th. So hurry up and get your discount as we look forward to this opportunity to explore the Enneagram with its various typologies. So we come now in our morning devotions to our devotion time, and we want to give time to this as we seek to honor this time, this space that we're in. This is important time for us. So we take time to just, if you're not driving, to just close our eyes and to be present here, to be open and receptive to all that is taking place in our lives. To feel the divine presence with us. To know God's love, God's peace, God's faithfulness. To give thanks. To honor where we are and to commit ourselves to being conscious and aware of just where we are and who we are. To take time to be ourselves without pretense, without thinking that we have to be something else, but just acknowledging who we are and giving ourselves the opportunity to build on that. To use our experiences to move us forward in a natural progression. Ever trusting, ever being receptive, looking for that gift, looking for that moment, that precise moment that God breaks through into our lives and grants us a gift in which we can recognize, yes, this is God. In the midst of all this is God. So we breathe. We breathe intentionally into our hearts. And we hold it all in gratitude and love. We know the beauty of this gift, and we hold it delicately in our arms. This is life. This is gift. And we give thanks. We give thanks abundantly. Immediately Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead to the other side while he dismissed the crowds. And after he had dismissed the crowds, he went up the mountain by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone. But by this time the boat, battered by the waves, was far from the land, for the wind was against them. And early in the morning he came walking toward them on the sea. But when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were terrified, saying, "It is a ghost." And they cried out in fear. But immediately Jesus spoke to them and said, "Take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid." Peter answered him, "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." And he said, "Come." So Peter got out of the boat, started walking on the water, and came toward Jesus. But when he noticed the strong wind, he became frightened, and beginning to sink, he cried out, "Lord, save me." Jesus immediately reached out his hand and caught him, saying to him, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" When they got into the boat, the wind ceased, and those in the boat worshipped him, saying, "Truly, you are the Son of God." When they had crossed over, they came to land at Gennesaret. After the people of that place recognized him, they sent word to that whole surrounding region, and people brought all who were sick to him and begged him that they might touch even the fringe of his cloak, and all who touched it were healed. So here we are at the end of another week and giving thanks to Almighty God for all that He would have done with us and through us through this week. As we come to this morning, I want us to bring our focus to a close as it relates to our theme for this week, and to a close in terms of not just putting it one side, but just a close in the sense of seeing if we could come to some understanding of what it is that we have been doing during the course of this week, as we focus on the two questions: do you know who I am? And do I know who I am? Within the journey that we have in this world, there's always that gift, and I think that's where I want us to focus this morning. There's always that gift that comes to us in the midst of all the challenges that we face. It is like walking in the middle of a city where everything is asphalt and concrete, and you just come upon a little flower growing out of a crack in the concrete or in the pavement, and you stop and you were caught by this little sight because it is so out of place, but yet there it is in all its beauty. It is right there, and you notice the beauty of it, and it probably stands out more there than in a field with flowers. And I find that this is how our journey is, that when you look at it, in the midst of all the turmoil, there's the gift. And it is as though we are being asked to focus on the gift. That yes, the turmoil is there. Yes, the turmoil rips us apart. But the gift. Can we use the gift to bring us out of the turmoil? In this morning's reading, what we notice is how Jesus makes sure that He doesn't get caught up in all of the excitement, because there were 5,000 people. They were just fed with this minuscule amount of material, and they must have been talking excitement. Jesus, rather than going on the boat with His disciples, asked them to go on without Him. In a sense, not wanting perhaps to be caught up in all of that kind of conversation that would be about the event. And He goes off by Himself up in the mountain until early in the morning, where He is reconnecting Himself with Source, reminding Himself of who He is and why He's here, and not being caught up in the euphoria. He comes to the disciples walking on the water, and there's this tempest. There is a lot of wind and rough waves, and they're afraid at first because they're not sure what this is coming to them. But He tells them, "It is I." So they then relax more likely. And Peter says, "Well, Lord, if it is you, bid me come to you." He says, "Come." Peter says, "Command me to come to you." And Jesus commands him. And he comes to Jesus and he starts walking on the water, we're told. But then he is caught up in all that is around him, and he begins to sink. Jesus reaches out, saves him, as he begs Jesus to save him. And Jesus says, "Why did you doubt? Why did you doubt? Why did you look away? Why did you allow yourself to be distracted? Why do we look away? Why do we not focus on the gift?" Because the gift is ours. And what the gift does is that the gift reminds us that even this turmoil, even these rough winds, they're there for us. They're not there to judge us or to condemn us. They're there simply to urge us on. And the gift reminds us this. The gift reminds us constantly of this. These things are here to urge us on. Because in the midst of the turmoil, there is the gift. And the gift reminds us that God is. And we must not fear because God is. And that is important. If we can do nothing but one thing, we must always remember God is. God is. And that's what the gift reminds us of. And when we realize that God is, then we also remember who we are. Because in acknowledging God, we acknowledge ourselves. In recognizing God, we recognize ourselves. Because it is when we don't recognize God and when we think that there's some other power at work in the universe, some other power in charge, then we find ourselves trying to be something that we're not. And we find ourselves living from a place of fear. And that's not who we are. God is. God is love. If God is love, then you and I must be love. And if we are love, then we can't be fear. And if we aren't fear, there's no doubt about who we are. We know who we are. We are God's. We belong to God. Do you know who I am? Do I know who I am? I must recall who I am constantly in my life. Because if I don't, I will find myself in a place of fear constantly. And I must not be in a place of fear. I must be with my God.